When Daniel said it, that his ex, Emily, would be joining us at my brother's wedding, I just smiled, slow and deliberate. I remember the way his shoulders eased when I said, "Of course, I trust you." He thought that sentence meant surrender. It didn't. It meant I'd just chosen the battlefield. He kissed my forehead and went back to scrolling through his phone. That night, as he showered, I scrolled too. Not through anger, but through evidence. We met 7 years ago at a mutual friend's engagement party. He'd dropped his drink, I'd laughed, and he'd said, "Guess I'll owe you a better one." It was charming, clumsy, real. Back then, he was all sincerity and late-night promises. The kind of man who tucked notes into my suitcase before business trips and called my mother on her birthday without me asking. I built my trust in him brick by brick. He built his facade faster. The cracks started small. A lipstick smudge once, faint and brushed off as a coworker's hug. A perfume that wasn't mine. The slow drift of his phone always face down. But the worst betrayal wasn't physical. It was the shift. How his voice softened when he said her name, Emily. Always casual, always innocent, until it wasn't. It was 2 months before my brother's wedding when I found the messages. Hidden deep in his email drafts, unsent but rehearsed. You make me feel like before, when life was still light. Before me. I remember staring at the screen, pulse steady, hands cold. I didn't throw the laptop. I didn't confront him. I simply read, learned, and decided. Revenge is best designed when your opponent still thinks he's winning. I waited until he mentioned her again. "Emily's married now," he said. "To some investment guy. You'd like him." I did. I liked him enough to find him. Ethan Carr, 40, sharp. A man with a spine made of quiet rage. You can see that kind of thing if you know where to look. His LinkedIn was all precision. His wedding photos all performance. I sent him a message, short, polite, perfectly baited. "Hey Ethan, strange question. Are you and Emily planning to attend the Wilson wedding next month? Daniel and I will be there. Would be nice to finally meet the infamous other halves." He replied within an hour, "We are. Sounds like we'll have a lot to talk about." We did. The first time we met in person, it was at a quiet bar near the harbor. He came alone. His smile was brittle. I didn't need to explain much. He already knew. The signs were there for him, too. He'd found photos. Not indecent, but damning. A hand on a shoulder. A look that lingered too long. We didn't need proof to know the truth. We needed a stage. The plan came together like choreography. Ethan and I would arrive together at the rehearsal dinner. Not arm in arm, but close enough to raise questions. He'd make a toast. I'd make sure Daniel listened. Emily would unravel herself. Simple, elegant, devastating. The night of the dinner, the air was heavy with champagne and secrets. My brother was glowing. My mother was crying. Daniel was performing, laughing too loudly, kissing my cheek just long enough for the cameras. When Emily walked in, time thinned. She wore red. Of course she did. Her eyes flickered to me, then to Daniel, and then froze on Ethan beside me. That was the first fracture, the smallest one. Ethan greeted her with that calm, civil smile that only truly angry men can manage. He pulled out a chair for me, not her. Daniel watched, confused but pretending not to be. Dinner began. Toasts were made. Laughter filled the gaps where tension tried to live. And then Ethan stood, glass in hand. "Before we toast the happy couple," he said, voice steady, "I want to toast honesty. The kind of honesty that keeps love alive." He turned his head, first toward Emily, then toward Daniel, and the kind that destroys it. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was loaded. I didn't look at Daniel when he froze. I didn't need to. His hand tightened around his glass until it cracked. Emily's face went pale. My brother blinked, unsure if this was a performance or a scandal. Ethan sat down. I smiled. "Beautiful toast," I said. They didn't last the evening. Emily ran after Ethan. He didn't look back. Daniel followed me into the parking lot, voice trembling with excuses. I let him talk. Words like, "I didn't mean it," and "it was just emotional," bounced off me like dull bullets. When he stopped, breathless and desperate, I gave him the only truth he'd earned. "You wanted trust, Daniel. You got it. You just didn't like what I did with it." He stared at me, confused. I opened my clutch, pulled out a folded paper, copies of the messages he thought he'd deleted, and placed them in his hand. "I sent those to your firm's HR," I said. "Emotional misconduct, against policy. You might want to clear your desk by Monday." He blinked.